move on and talk about market fundamentals now. Santosh Singh, fund manager at Motilal Oswal Asset Management, is joining us now to discuss that. Santosh, good morning. Thank you so much for joining in. Well, I have to ask you, because there's so much happening and we have the big Fed event which is going to happen this week as well. What is the expectation, and do you think that could be the next big trigger if there's a rate cut, and what if there is no rate cut this time as well?
See, so this rate cut expectation is going on for such a long period of time, right? And every time we are getting into this particular event, and we have been talking about rate cuts. So what we have seen is that actually it's have not been impacting the market that much. Specifically, the Indian market, it has not been impacting that much. But I would expect that if there is a rate cut and if there is a dovish stance going forward as well, we might see certain segments of the market doing well, which might be good for the headline sort of index. So I think IT might do particularly. IT could be one segment which might do particularly well.
Santosh, wanted to get your thoughts. You manage the focused fund. You're the lead CIO for that, and your top holding is Religare Enterprises with about a 10% weightage. Now we know that the company day after day makes headlines. It's embroiled in this battle between Rashmi Saluja and the Burman. So from a shareholder point of view, how are you reading all this in terms of news flow, and what are the fundamentals of this company?
So see, we bought it long back, right? Not after the open offer. We bought it long before the open offer. So one of the reasons we bought it is that actually I am quite positive on health insurance space. That's one. I'm quite positive on that space, given it's growing at around 20% and it's a total B2C business, right? And Religare owns almost majority stake in Care Health Insurance, and I think that would be the reason why there is so much of fight between the promoters, the incoming promoters and the outgoing management, or whatever could be the scenario. But there is so much fight because of that. But it's an extremely sort of interesting company where they hold this majority stake in the second largest health insurer in India, right? Which means. And which is growing in excess of 30% for multiple years now. It's one of the fundamental, if you look at the overall fundamentals of that company, I think what we are looking at is that this is a sub 100% combined ratio company. So all in all, the company is doing very, very well. The news flow around what's happening on the open offer is all across, and I think they should settle down really fast, because I think it's all about how the regulators now take it forward. It should settle down very fast. But if that were to happen, I find it a really, really attractive sort of company to be.
Okay. The other interesting name in the list is Paytm, Santosh. I just want to understand what's the rationale here, because there have been a lot of on and off on Paytm as well. What are the future triggers that you are looking at the stock that makes you bullish here?
So see, firstly, the space I am quite bullish on, right? It's I think you're going through the sort of all my holdings, and what you could see is that interestingly there is no bank there, right? And the entire banking, no lending bank there, and the entire lending bank has been made up by the insurers or the payment providers. So if I look at the financial space, some of the spaces I'm very positive on is one, the health insurance we discussed. Second is the payment space. Because clearly the payment space is growing and digitization of payments is happening at a very fast pace. That's a really, really large space. If you look at the volumes which are happening in that space, it's really big. Growth is really good. And the other part of the equation is this is all happening when the UPI NDR is nothing, right? They are still not getting paid for it. And all of it is happening despite not getting paid for it. So one is the growth in that space, and second is the regulatory. At a lot of places there are regulatory negatives. There could be a regulatory positive here on the MDR front, which actually I'm not. When I bought it today, I'm not sort of priced in my base case scenario. So that's clearly one of the thinking process which is there. Paytm is the market leader. If I'm talking about not per se the UPI space, but the space in which you're talking about you can say vendor payments, right? It's one of the leaders in that space, and it's an Indian company there are certain regulations. There is some thought process also on payments where the foreign sort of restrictions. So has been talked about. So it's in a very interesting space. Yes, again, there has been on and off with the regulators. Although we were lucky, we have not invested it at such high prices where we could have had trouble. So I find it really interesting space to be in.
Okay, we've got many more questions. Even wanted to get your thoughts in on L&T Technology Services, because the numbers, I look at the company closely, the numbers have disappointed for the last couple of quarters, and some of the peers have actually done better than it in ER&D. But I think that conversation's for another time. Thank you, Santosh, for joining in. Get into a break. On the other side, we'll invite Gautam Badalia from Root Mobile to talk about the way forward for the company. Remember, just last week, the promoters pared down their stake to 75% via an offer for sale.